I was standing in line at the polling station a few months back. It was raining. The line was just out the door, and everyone looked, well, they looked miserable.
Yeah.
But it wasn't just the rain. There was this heavy, palpable sense of exhaustion.
Oh, I know that feeling. It's a specific kind of fatigue, isn't it? It's not just physical tiredness.
No, not at all.
It's political fatigue.
Exactly. It's that sinking sensation you get when you finally step into the booth, or, you open that browser tab to cast a vote and you look at the options.
Right. Option A or option B.
Usually.
Yeah.
Option A or option B. And you realize, with this sort of dull horror, that neither of them actually represents you. Not really.
It's the feeling of compression.
That's the word. It feels like I'm trying to paint a masterpiece, my vision for the future, my values, all the nuance of what I believe, but the system just hands me a paint roller and says,
blue or red, pick one.
Pick one. And if you try to explain that you actually want purple, or maybe a nice teal with a bit of green in it,
Your system just jams.
it jams completely. And that is exactly where we are starting today. That feeling that the system is broken, not because the people are bad, but because the machinery itself is, rusted shut. Today I'd like to introduce Nora Sosen's newsletter and delve deeper into the topic.
Naruto-san is a thinker who consistently shares unique perspectives on Earth's future, soul growth, and living in the AI era, right?
Yes. He has published 10 books so far.
Wow.
And in this particular issue, this is number 89, dated May 8, 2026, he tackles this exact frustration. He takes that feeling of why does this suck so much and gives it a real structural diagnosis.
And a pretty radical solution to go with it.
A very radical solution. We're talking about the end of representative democracy as we know it,
Yeah.
and the rise of something he calls direct democracy utilizing AGI.
AGI.
Artificial General Intelligence.
Yep. Now, before you roll your eyes and think, great, the robots are taking over, stick with us. Because his argument is surprisingly human-centric. It is. It's a fascinating read because he argues that we are in a historical transition. We're moving from an era of concentration of power to an era of dispersion of power.
And the vehicle for that transition
Is artificial general intelligence.
So let's unpack this, because to understand the cure, we really have to understand the disease. Why does Naruto think our current system representative democracy is failing? It's been running for a few hundred years at a good run.
It did, and Naruto makes a crucial point here. He says representative democracy was a groundbreaking invention for its time.
For its time. That's the key, isn't it?
It's everything. Think about the world in, say, 1776 or 1850. If you wanted to send a message from New York to London, how would you do it?
On a boat.
It would take weeks.
Weeks on a boat. If you wanted to know what the farmers in a rural village thought about a new tax policy, you couldn't just Zoom them. You couldn't send out a SurveyMonkey link.
Right. We were living in a low bandwidth world. The physical constraints were they were massive. Exactly. Information traveled at the speed of a horse. So practically speaking, you simply could not have every citizen vote on every single issue.
That's physically impossible.
Completely impossible to process that much data. The bandwidth just didn't exist.
So the solution was compression.
Precisely. The only realistic way to run a country was to say, okay, this town has 5,000 people. We can't hear all of them. So pick one guy, put him on a horse, and send him to the capital.
That one guy becomes a representative.
And that representative is a compression algorithm. You are taking the complex, messy, diverse will of 5,000 people and compressing it into the voice of one person.
That's a great analogy. It's like taking a high-definition photograph, something with millions of colors and details, and saving it as a really, really blocky JPEG from 1995.
That is the perfect analogy, and that is the absolute core of Naruto's argument. Representative democracy is a low-resolution system.
Low-resolution democracy. I really like that term. It explains so much of that frustration we were talking about.
It does. As author Naruto says, in a world where information technology has exploded, compressing the complex issues of society into a simple yes or no vote results in a massive loss of resolution.
So it gets pixelated.
It's totally pixelated, and we feel that pixelation every day. Because we don't live in a low-resolution world anymore, do we?
No, we don't. We live in 4K. I can pull up a live video stream from a street corner in Tokyo on my phone right now. I can access the sum of human knowledge in seconds. We are high-resolution people. But when we engage with the government, we have to step into a time machine and go back to the horse and buggy era.
There's a mismatch. A massive, massive friction.
Yeah.
And Naruto argues that this compression isn't just annoying, it's actually damaging. When you take the nuance of millions of people, their fears, their hopes, their specific economic situations, their contradictions, and you just mash it all down into Party A or Party B,
Right.
you aren't just summarizing the public will, you're deleting parts of
You're
it.
losing data,
Yeah.
vital data.
Exactly. And that data loss, that's what manifests as chaos. The source argues that the mess we see in politics, the populism, the parliamentary stalling, the endless shouting matches on TV, these aren't just because we have bad politicians.
It's system bug.
It's a bug in the operating system.
That's actually kind of a relief to hear in a weird way.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that everyone suddenly became incompetent or evil.
No.
It's that the game they are playing is designed for a world that no longer exists.
And the incentives of that game are completely warped. Naruto points out that because the resolution is so low, politicians are forced to play a game of getting elected rather than solving problems.
Right, because you can't possibly explain a complex, nuanced solution to a low-resolution electorate. It doesn't fit.
Exactly. I mean, imagine trying to explain a 50-year energy transition plan that involves short-term sacrifices for long-term gain. But you have to explain it in a 30-second soundbite.
You can't.
You can't. So you don't.
Yeah.
You resort to slogans. You appeal to raw emotion. You simplify and simplify until the truth is just gone.
You play to the algorithm?
And this brings us to the paradox of the internet. This is where the tension really snaps. The internet allowed for the dispersion of power. Suddenly, everyone has a voice. Everyone is a broadcaster.
Which sounds great.
Yeah.
Power to the people, right.
In theory. But the old wrestle, the representative governance structure, cannot hold that much water. It wasn't built for this volume of input.
It's like trying to hook a fire hose up to a garden sprinkler.
Yes. The system just explodes.
It sprays everywhere.
It sprays everywhere. You get overflow, you get fake news, you get echo chambers, you get algorithmic filtering that radicalizes people because the traditional system can't process the nuance, so people just retreat into their tribes.
So Naruto states that this information overload is actually threatening democracy itself.
Yes. Not because democracy is inherently bad, but because the machinery of representative democracy can't process the signal anymore.
It's all just noise.
It's just noise.
Okay, so we have 21st century citizens, 21st century problems, and an 18th century political structure. The hardware is obsolete. So what's the upgrade?
This is where we get into the meat of the newsletter, and I have to warn you, it requires a pretty big shift in how we think about the act of voting.
Okay, I'm ready.
Naruto is proposing direct democracy utilizing AGI.
Okay, stop. Direct democracy. I have to be the skeptic here.
Please.
When I hear direct democracy combined with technology, I get a very specific and, frankly, a very scary image.
I think I know where you're going with this.
I imagine waking up in the morning, grabbing my phone, and having to vote on 50 different bills before I've even had my coffee.
Right.
You know, do you approve the new zoning regulation for industrial waste? Do you support the tariff adjustment on imported steel?
It sounds like homework from hell.
It sounds like a complete nightmare. I don't trust myself to pick a movie on Netflix half the time.
Yeah.
I definitely don't want to be voting on complex geopolitical trade agreements while I'm brushing my teeth. That just sounds like mob rule with better Wi-Fi.
And Naruto agrees with you completely. He says that is not what he is proposing.
Okay, good.
That model, the smartphone voting model, is just accelerating the old system. It doesn't solve the resolution problem. It just makes the noise louder and faster.
So if I'm not manually voting on every single issue, how is it direct democracy?
It involves personal AI agents.
Agents, like a bot, a personal bot.
Think of it as more like a digital twin. Or a lifelong companion, maybe. The idea is that every citizen has their own dedicated AI partner.
Okay.
This isn't just Siri or Alexa setting a timer for your pasta. This is an AI that grows with you.
Grows with me. Ow.
It observes you, it talks to you, it understands your context. Through daily conversation, interaction, just through you living your life, this AI begins to understand your deep psychology. It learns your values, your preferences, and your priorities, better than you might even know them yourself.
Whoa, hang on. Better than I know them myself. That's a very bold claim.
Is it, though? Think about it. How often do we say we want one thing, but our actions show we actually want another?
All the time.
You might say, I want lower taxes. That's the slogan you repeat. It's the simple answer. But if you sat down with a therapist for 10 hours or a really close friend and really dug into your fears and your hopes, you might realize that what you actually value is safety for your family and high-quality education for your kids, even if that costs more money.
That's actually true. We often vote against our own interests because we get caught up in the branding of a policy or because we're angry about something completely unrelated.
Exactly. Humans are messy. We are emotional. We are famously bad at calculating the long-term effects of our choices. The AI's job is to cut through that surface noise.
And get to the real signal underneath.
Yes. It extracts what Naruto calls value gradients.
Value gradients. Okay, that sounds technical. Let's break that down. What is a value gradient?
Imagine a map of your soul, a personality map, but instead of north, south, east, and west, the directions are values.
What kind of values?
Things like freedom, security, equality, innovation, tradition, sustainability, all the big ones.
Okay, I'm picturing it. A compass of my beliefs.
Your specific personality is a unique coordinate on that map.
Hmm?
Maybe you value freedom very highly, like an 8 out of 10, but you also value environmental protection at a 9 out of 10. And maybe you don't care much about tradition. That's a 2.
I see.
That unique combination, that mathematical fingerprint of what you care about, that's your value gradient.
So instead of simple vote A or vote B, the AI is building a much more complex profile that says this person cares 80% about the environment, 60% about job security, and has a strong aversion to government surveillance.
Precisely. It creates a high-resolution map of your will. It restores all the pixels that the old system deleted. It captures the new one.
Okay, that sounds strangely beautiful, but also my paranoia is just spiking through the roof right now. I assume I know why. You absolutely know why. So I have this high-resolution map of my soul on my phone. And then what? The government just downloads it. Because if there is a central computer in Washington or Tokyo or wherever that knows I secretly eat ice cream at 2 a.m. and have deep-seated anxieties about clowns, I am out.
You're gone.
I am moving to the woods. I'm done.
And you should be paranoid. That is a healthy and correct reaction. If this system required uploading your raw personal data to a central authority, it would be the most dystopian surveillance state in the history of the world.
It would be Big Brother on steroids.
Absolutely. But Naruto addresses this specifically. It's a crucial detail in the newsletter. He proposes a very strict privacy firewall.
Okay. How does that work?
The rule is simple and it's non-negotiable. Raw personal data never leaves your device.
Never.
Never. The conversation logs, the intimate details, the I ate ice cream at 2 a.m. that stays locally on your phone or your personal chip is locked there, encrypted, yours.
So what does the government get? What gets sent to the central system?
The central system only receives the abstracted value gradient.
Okay, explain the difference. How can it know what I want without knowing who I am?
Let's use an example. Imagine you're complaining to your AI agent. You say, I'm terrified of my kids crossing that busy street to get to school. The drivers are crazy these days.
Okay, that's a personal fear, specific location, very real.
The AI processes that. It doesn't send the audio recording. It doesn't send the location of the street. It doesn't send your kids' names. It translates that emotion into a mathematical vector.
Into a vector.
It sends a signal that says, this citizen places a high priority on public safety and pedestrian infrastructure. It's an anonymous data point.
I see. So the central AI doesn't know why I care about pedestrian safety.
Yeah.
It doesn't know my story. It just knows the weight I place on that value.
Exactly. It gets the ingredients, but not the recipe of your life. It aggregates these mathematical vectors from millions and millions of people. It takes this giant ocean of anonymous value data.
And then what? What does the central AI do with all these vectors?
It does math. It turns politics into an optimization problem. The central AI's goal is to maximize the social welfare function.
Social welfare function.
Yeah.
Now we're getting into economics. Sounds a little dry.
It sounds dry, but it's actually revolutionary. In our current system, politics is a wrestling match. It's bargaining. It's horse trading. I'll vote for your bridge if you vote for my tank factory.
It's a zero-sum game.
Right. And usually the result is a compromise that nobody really likes.
Yeah, everyone's a little bit unhappy.
But the AI doesn't bargain. It calculates. It looks at the data. It sees that 70% of the population values X, 20% values Y, and there's a strong consensus on Z. And it calculates the policy that mathematically maximizes the happiness or well-being of the entire group.
So it solves the dilemma of binary choices.
Yes. Think about the restaurant problem.
Restaurant problem. What's that?
You know when you're trying to pick a restaurant with a group of 10 friends?
Oh, God. It's the worst. I hate it.
It is the worst. Susan is vegan, Dave hates spicy food, Mike is broke, Sarah only wants sushi. What happens?
We argue for 20 minutes, someone gets passive-aggressive, and we usually end up going to some mediocre diner that nobody really loves just because it was the least objectionable option for everyone.
That is representative democracy, the least worst option.
Okay, so how does the AGI fix the restaurant problem?
In this model, the AI instantly analyzes everyone's taste buds, their dietary restrictions, their budget, their current cravings. It runs the optimization function, and it says, there is a small fusion place 3 blocks away that offers a vegan menu for Susan, mild options for Dave, is within Mike's budget, and has fresh fish for Sarah. This choice satisfies 94% of the group's aggregate preferences. Go there.
And it does that instantly.
Instantly. It finds the third solution, the path that the humans missed because they were too busy arguing to see the pattern.
It optimizes for the group in a way the group couldn't do for itself.
Exactly. It restores the resolution of the public will. It allows us to make collective decisions that are actually smart and efficient.
Right. It sounds incredibly efficient, almost utopian. But I have to admit, there's a part of my brain that is just screaming danger.
Good. Keep that part of your brain active. Because Naruto isn't blind to this. He spends a significant portion of the newsletter discussing what he calls the danger zone.
I mean, we are talking about handing over the steering wheel of society to an algorithm.
Yeah.
Even if it's optimizing for our happiness, that requires a tremendous amount of trust. Who builds the optimizer?
That is the crucial question. That's the billion-dollar question. Even if we use this system to decentralize political power, taking it away from career politicians, we risk creating a new center of power.
The developers, the coders.
The people who write the code. As Naruto states, we must recognize the danger of developers becoming de facto rulers.
Of course.
If you write the code that defines social welfare, you are effectively God.
Right. If I'm the lead developer and I secretly think that social welfare actually means everyone buys my company's merchandise, I could just tweak the algorithm to make that happen.
Yeah. Or even more subtle biases. Imagine a developer who, just genuinely believes that economic growth is slightly more important than environmental health. So he puts that thumb on the scale in the base code.
Just a little nudge.
Just a little nudge. The AI will optimize for that. It might efficiently turn the entire Amazon rainforest into lumber yards because the math said it increased GDP by 0.1%.
And the AI would think it's doing a good job. Look, I maximized the variable you gave me.
Exactly. This is the alignment problem in a nutshell. So how do we stop the coders from becoming the new kings?
It has to be transparent, right?
That's the first step. Naruto proposes that the AI's objective function and all its algorithms must be completely open source. No black boxes. Everyone needs to be able to see the math.
That's good in theory. But let's be real. Most people can't read code. I can't look at a million lines of Python and tell you if it's evil or not. You could hide a dictatorship in a subroutine, and I would have no idea.
Which is why transparency isn't enough. It's necessary, but not sufficient. He proposes another mechanism that I found really compelling, the system reset.
A kill switch.
A kill switch, a big red button.
Okay, I like that. But then the question becomes, who gets to push the button?
Yes, that's the real problem.
If you give to the president, you just have a dictator again. If you give it to the developers, you haven't solved the problem at all.
Exactly. And his answer is fascinating. He proposes a human jury.
A jury. Like in a courtroom.
A similar concept, but this surveillance body isn't made of politicians. It isn't made of experts or tech billionaires. It is made of randomly selected citizens.
Oh, wow. Sortition, like the ancient Greeks used to do in Athens.
Yes, random sampling. And think about why that's so brilliant. Why are juries so hard to bribe or corrupt?
Because you don't know who's going to be on them until they are selected. And they don't have a career to protect. They're not worried about re-election.
Exactly. A politician is always thinking about the next election. If I vote for this, will I lose my donors? Will this poll well? A random citizen doesn't care. They're just there to do a job and go home.
So you'd get a letter in the mail. Congratulations, you have been selected for the AI oversight jury. Please report to duty on Monday.
Exactly. And this jury would have real teeth, real power. They have the power to audit the AI's decisions.
So they can see the outputs.
Yes. If the AI says to optimize happiness, we must ban all ice cream because it causes health issues, the human jury can look at that and say, no, that is absurd. Happiness includes ice cream, veto.
Laughs.
Yeah.
I would definitely serve on that jury. So they can veto proposals.
And they can hit the kill switch.
The big red button.
Yes. They have the ultimate power to stop the system entirely and revert to traditional democracy if they feel the AI is going off the rails.
That is a really important check and balance.
Yeah.
It keeps the human element in the loop. It's not a set it and forget it machine. It's a tool that we are constantly watching.
It solves the who watches the watchman problem by making the answer, all of us, taking turns.
I like that. It feels democratic in the truest sense of the word. But let's zoom out a bit. Because while this system sounds fascinating, it also sounds, well, very far away.
It does. It feels like science fiction.
Right now, looking around the world, it does not feel like we are moving toward a sleek, optimized AI utopia. It feels like things are falling apart, the polarization is getting worse, the anger is getting louder.
And Naruto addresses this directly in the newsletter, and this is where the philosophy of it really comes in. He reframes the chaos.
How so?
He says that what we are seeing, the polarization, the rise of authoritarianism, the general confusion and anger, this isn't a regression. It's not the end. It's birth pangs.
Growing pains.
The old system, the centralized representative model, is dying. It can't handle the complexity of the modern world anymore. But the new system, the dispersed AI-assisted model, isn't born yet. We are in the gap.
The messy middle. That dangerous time between one era and the next.
He draws a historical parallel. Think about the shift from feudalism to absolute monarchy, or from monarchy to democracy. These weren't smooth handovers. There wasn't a polite ceremony where the king handed the keys to the parliament and said, "Good luck, chaps."
No. There were revolutions, there were civil wars, there were guillotines.
Exactly. Systemic change on this scale is slow and violent and painful. Naruto argues we are in a similar shift now, from concentration to dispersion, and the physics of information technology make this shift irreversible.
Why is it irreversible?
Because you can't put the genie back in the bottle. People have voices now through the internet. You can't force them back into being silent peasants who just wait for the town crier to tell them the news. The dispersion has already happened. The governance just hasn't caught up yet.
So we have to build a system that accommodates all those voices.
Yeah.
But if the AI is doing the steering, what is the human doing? Do we just sit in the back seat and play video games where the AI drives civilization?
No, that is absolutely the wrong way to look at it. In fact, our role becomes harder. It becomes more elevated.
Elevated.
Naruto uses a great metaphor. AI may press the accelerator, but humans must draw the map and hold the brake.
I like that image. So the AI provides the speed, it provides the processing power to get us where we want to go efficiently, but we have to decide where we are going.
And we have to decide when to stop. Things like creativity, empathy, moral judgment, these cannot be outsourced to AGI.
The AI can calculate the most efficient way to build a hospital, but it can't tell us why we should care for the sick in the first place.
Precisely. That is a moral stance. That comes from the human soul. The AI is a calculator, a brilliant, hyperfast calculator, but a calculator nonetheless. It needs inputs. We are the inputs.
Which means, oh boy, it means we need to be better inputs.
That is the crux of it. If garbage goes in, garbage comes out. If our collective values are selfish, short-sighted, or hateful, the AI will just optimize for selfishness and hate with terrifying efficiency.
So this isn't a free pass. We don't get to be lazy.
Quite the opposite. This is the educational reform part of his argument. If we are going to use a system this powerful, citizens need to be smarter. We need AI literacy. We need critical thinking.
Because we can't just be passive consumers of information anymore. If we are the ones drawing the map, we need to know how to read the terrain. We need to understand what we're looking at.
We need to understand how the tool works so we aren't manipulated by it. And we need the ability to have complex discussions with our own AI agents to refine our own values, to really know ourselves.
It sounds like this shift requires us to grow up collectively. Representative democracy kind of let us stay as children in a way.
How so?
You know, daddy government will handle it. I'll just vote for the red team or the blue team and then complain about it for 4 years.
Yes. This new model, direct democracy utilizing AGI, it demands that we take responsibility for our own values. It disperses power, but it also disperses responsibility.
That's a heavy thought, but also kind of exciting. It feels like agency.
It is the ultimate agency. It's the realization that technology isn't just something that happens to us. It's something we can and must shape.
So where does this leave us? We've gone from the horse and buggy parliament to a future where AI synthesizes our collective will, all protected by privacy firewalls and human juries.
It's a vision of a future where the machinery of government finally catches up to the complexity of society. Naruto believes this shift is inevitable. The physics of information demand it. The old model of concentrating power is naturally breaking down into dispersion.
The question is just how bumpy the ride is going to be to get there.
And whether we are ready to take the wheel when the time comes, the future isn't about AI taking over. It's about humans designing a system where technology handles the complexity, all the boring, difficult math of governance, allowing humans to focus on what makes us human.
Values, ethics, love, creativity.
Exactly.
It was a hopeful vision. A bit scary, for sure, but hopeful.
Yeah.
It suggests that the current mess isn't the end of the world, just the end of an era.
A necessary chaos before a new order can be born.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground today. From the pixelation of politics to the privacy of value gradients. It's a lot to chew on.
It certainly is.
And as we wrap up, we want to leave you with something to really think about. A personal challenge, straight from the source.
I'd like to conclude by posing one question to everyone.
And this is the question Naruto asks in the newsletter.
Yeah.
It cuts right to the heart of trust and technology and what it means to be human.
If you had a personal AI that understood your values better than you do, would you trust it to vote on your behalf to create a happier society, or would you insist on marking the ballot paper yourself?
Think about that. Would you trust the math of your own soul, or do you need to hold the pen? Thanks for diving deep with us today.
Until next time, keep thinking.